Welcome back to Steam-Powered Scoundrels, a Malifaux podcast. Episode 95, First and 10 Frontier.
Fact round.
Does this count as... Hold on, I gotta change my title in the video.
That's true. Ah, man, what do I do mine?
No, we're not in the beard. Beard just itches. It's fun to scratch. Which version of Nate is this? You're all three at some point.
It's the one with the big iron on his hip.
I think it's on his back in this case.
You know.
Hi, welcome back to Steam-Powered Scoundrels. I'm your host, Douglas Scoundrels. And today we have another First and 10, this time featuring moi, the Douglas Scoundrels. I've actually got games in. It only took me like 5 months, but I got them done.
Yay!
These things happen.
I mean, I went over the 10 number, but I didn't count some because a lot of them were with the same person. Because my meta is really teeny tiny right now, which is probably the biggest reason why it took me so long to do it. But I guess I can go over who we're covering. If it wasn't obvious, I've talked about it several times. I went and learned how to play the Frontier keyword, or at least I tried to learn. I think I did a decent job of it. I had a pretty good win-loss. I want to say was almost even. And especially for my ending thoughts on this crew, I consider that to be pretty darn good.
I would also like to call out you were very well traveled in your getting all of the games here. One might even call it a continuing mission to explore this final frontier.
And leave the podcast.
No.
I'm Victoria today. I'm kicking you off the podcast.
Good. We need a Victoria.
Doug, we're married now.
Say. Okay, fine.
Let the fan fiction begin.
I'll let Victoria know. She'll write it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Frontier keyword. Basse Daddy, the guy that decided that, he doesn't like working for any of his fucking factions, so he's going to go over to the good guys, to the Arcanists. Hooray. I was so excited by this news because I really liked the character, and yeah, it just seemed like he really fit in better despite it not really being his aesthetic almost at all. They tried to make it a little bit Arcanist-y. I mean, he already had a little bit of steampunk going on with the keyword, but, the gifted gun on his new sculpt looks fine. Bright blue vest on his other one. Oh, I just
like that we had Punch Wizard give him the gun for Gun Wizard. It just goes to show you that even in Malifaux, good things happen.
No, actually, it wasn't Punch Wizard.
Really? I haven't read the story yet.
Yep, they changed it up. So I mean, it's fine. That the lore changes all the time. It's okay, but yeah, technically was not recruited by Punch Wizard. Punch Wizard was not involved whatsoever. She had her own thing going on in that story. She was a part of the story, but she wasn't the one who recruited Bass. But anyways, cool. Still waiting for my cool new sculpts. I just shaved off all the guild iconography on my current ones.
Nice.
Now I need to actually finish painting those, but okay. Frontier keyword. I had a notebook, I swear I did, with notes written in it, and then I lost it at some point. To be fair, the past 5 months I've been doing a lot of stuff around my house. But I generally have a good idea of what I remember thinking initially, and there was some decent amount of changes, things I learned, so we're just going to go down the list like Roman does, starting with the crew cards and the masters, followed by their totems, so it'll be master totem, and then go for the most expensive models down to the least expensive models, and then I'll go over overall thoughts on the keyword, and then some keyword picks that I enjoyed taking, and didn't enjoy taking at all this. As well as bringing up the games. I managed to get a game against Roman and Nate for this, which was really, really great. One of them was just a hard lesson against Sandeep, but you learn what you learn.
You got to go to class.
Okay, now let's start with, first up, the naming confusion. Just about everyone else in Malifaux I can regard as Master 1, Master 2. Everyone pretty much that's not brand new to the game understands 1 being the untitled version of that master from 3rd edition, who now does have a title, but it's almost exclusively the same sculpt. And then, Master 2 being the one that came later with an actual title in 3rd edition, and is almost, I don't think they changed that sculpt at all except for Bass, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I think
that's right.
That's right.
But the problem is that, so Bass 1, what I'd consider to normally be Bass 1, is the one that's not called Badlands Sheriff, because this title version in 3rd edition was Badlands Sheriff, so Bass 1 would be Lone Verdict. However, Bass 1 in 3rd edition is the one with the shotgun, and Badlands Sheriff in 3rd edition is the one with the pistol, and now Bass 1 Lone Verdict is the one with the pistol, and Badlands Sheriff is the one with the shotgun. But also, I think the crew cards, the names of the crew cards, and even the titles should be switched, because we ain't even talking about the actual gameplay yet.
Take your time. You'll get there.
But Lone Verdict very much feels more like a protector type playstyle with the keyword, which gives me more sheriffy vibes, especially since this is the one handing out 10 stars to people. That screams sheriff to me. But Badlands Sheriff is the more aggressive one, going out and hunting people down, which sounds like Lone Verdict if you just told me the names of the titles. So that's not going to change, but that was the initial confusion I had with this whole thing. So I will try to just only use the titles here, just to keep people from being confused. So, Bass Lone Verdict, the title, the crew card is Dustbound Oath. The simpler one of the two, basically 2 abilities, and they cannot be used by non-peons and non-beasts. I don't know why. One thing, if you hit an enemy model on their half of the board, you get a badge token. And when you end your activation, you can use this badge token to remove a scheme marker that's close to you, move yourself up to 4 inches, or give hidden tokens to everyone within 2 inches of you. And the badge token itself has an ability that says you can discard a card, and it's effectively hard to kill. Well, you heal yourself too, but it works alongside hard to kill for someone in this crew, which makes you a lot tougher, technically, supposedly. We'll see. So initial thoughts with this one is like, oh, that everything circles around the badge token, and while the badge abilities seem kind of niche, the idea is that mostly you're going to be using it to keep your stuff alive. That was my main thought. And I immediately, after a couple games in, ran into the solid brick wall that is, you have no card draw worth mentioning, and this crew is hungry as hell for cards. So I had to say a solid third of the time, stuff had to die with badge tokens on it because I had no cards.
Oof,
and I needed those cards for other things. It wasn't a case of like I forgot to have something in my back pocket to keep that stuff alive. It was like I was mostly done with a hand after the first couple of activations. So that was the crap that I ran into. Okay, that's Dustbound Oath. I mostly used the ability to remove scheme markers when I did bother to use it. I thought I'd be using the Kick Up Dusk one more often, but so rarely do you find yourself 2 inches away from multiple friendly models for it to be worth it. Because it is definitely a case of like, I am trading this for cover and possibly cover on someone else. Is that a better defensibility than the don't die part of the badge token? It would be a whole lot better if I could burn this at the beginning of someone's activation, because that'd allow me to like get it back, but otherwise you're relying on Bass or Bernadette to get that back on you until your next activation. Thoughts generally on the Lone Verdict Dustbound Oath crew card ability?
Yeah, I could definitely see where like with it, like reading badge off the top versus getting that to the table, where that cost is a bit intensive. For what it reads as a powerful ability, but I can see where that would get, especially with a lack of card draw. Like if you need to continuously keep trying to keep your eyes alive with this special token you have, and you just don't have any gas, and you need your cards for other stuff.
Well, and when some of that gas to get the badges out is for just doing my duty of you have to not just target, but actually succeed. So if your opponent says, well, I don't want you to get a badge token as well as hit me, plus whatever triggers you might be getting, I'm just going to say no. I mean, they're spending cards for that too, but just those 2 things, it's like you're burning both ends of the candle.
Yeah, especially with the added restriction that the enemy you're targeting has to be on the enemy table half. Feels just like one too many hoops. The old Arcanist problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you know that he's been inducted into the faction now.
He got his extra hoop.
Exactly. We just gave him, he had 1 hula hoop, and we gave him like 3 more and said, juggle these while jumping through them.
He's trying his best. The other thing, bringing it back, the beast restriction does not make sense to me at all. I feel like the best way I could think of their logic behind it, you didn't want raptors handing out hidden to a bunch of models, I guess.
Yeah,
but you've got to
that
get
would
the
be my
badge
thought.
on the bird in the first place.
It almost more feels like a lore thing more than an actual balance thing, because that's just the worm and the birds, right?
Yeah.
So like I think it's just like, oh, you can't deputize the worm.
Yeah, but then we get into Law's Reach, which we'll go ahead and just talk about right now, which is the aggressive, we're bounty hunting lawman kind of thing going on. So this is noticeably more complex. It gives you 3 different bonus actions for anyone that isn't a peon, which also doesn't make any sense, because you do have peons in the crew, they cannot take actions.
Yeah, at the same time, I could see that being future-proofing, potentially.
Yeah, or in just maintaining consistency.
Sorry, I apologize. The ability of the traps lets you place next to an enemy model, and I believe it just says take an attack action.
So they could do that if that didn't have that restriction. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Yeah,
take a melee attack. So I don't know if any melee.
So no, never mind. They can't do anything.
Disregard.
So your 3 options is remove a bounty token from the target to deal them 3 damage, or remove a bounty token from the target and place the target in base contact with an ally within 6 inches of itself. Hey, a kidnap, nice. Or remove a bounty token from the target, and the target declares an interact action controlled by this model. And then on top of that, the claim bounty ability is after resolving an attack action, this model may remove a friendly token from the target to heal 2. I was mostly excited over all the stuff you could do with the bounty tokens. I didn't give too much thought to claim bounty, and that ended up being the entirety of my playstyle with this crew.
Yeah, my immediate read seeing this is I'm going, oh, this is the other way we know he's in the Arcanist. One of his crew word cards almost looks like a gun version of Sandeep's. Which I just got done editing. Hey, look, we're going to give you 3 signature actions that you have to use. Yeah, we're going to give you 3 signature actions that you have to spend one of your crew tokens on to do.
Make note, there is no way to put bounty tokens out on this crew card. Also, if you
manage
to kill a model with a bounty token on it, you can draw a card. Which is
so nice. There you go.
Which I may have missed in a couple of games, but it's usually a case of the second I get a token on someone, I'm using it or attempting to use it for something. Because there's not a lot of great signature actions on this crew, it turns out. But yeah, this one definitely seemed more shenanigans, but mostly a disruption and aggression crew. And by far, I was mostly using the deal 3 damage.
Also notable that Dustbound Oath doesn't have a signature on it, whereas the other one has 3.
Nope.
Which potentially causes leaning towards one title or another, I find.
Oh yeah, one of these is a lot more powerful than the other. Spoilers.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Roman?
I was gonna say, especially with the note that you just said of like the keyword itself does not have a ton of spotlight signature actions. Whereas if you have some, at least on a decent number of your models, that makes for an interesting question of when do I use this versus when do I not, as opposed to, well, I don't have any good signature actions. Guess I'm going to take the one that gives me signature actions.
I can count. Okay, I don't know the exact amount, but I would say maybe 4 turns throughout my 12 games, which might be too much, might be fine. 4 turns where I didn't have a use for Bass's signature actions, especially with Badlands Sheriffs, because it's really, really hard to get a bounty token out turn 1, and his singular bonus that isn't on the crew card is move towards a model with a bounty token on it, or summon a bear trap, which is also not probably going to be very useful if you're walking most of that activation. See, Nate had run. Wait, and now he's back. Hooray, Nate. Yeah. But so those were my thoughts. And again, the really big thing is the healing is easily the best and most broken part of Law's Reach. And just
it makes a lot of sense with the way healing is in this edition. Having kind of quick access to it, especially without an action.
So the way this kind of bleeds your cards versus the badges This one is you have to remove the bounty token to take the action. So you get one shot to use it.
Yep.
Which kind of entices your opponent to cheat against it so that they're at least burning a card out of your hand, which you are not going to be able to draw again to fill. So there was a decent amount of these bonus actions. Like I had to let it go through because I had like 3 cards in hand. So that's the crew cards. Let's go and talk about the basses themselves. Let's head on over to Lone Verdict. So 5/5 defense willpower is something. Especially when the character is not really supposed to be like a backline support piece. I mean, he is does quite a bit of support on this card, but it's not the vibe you're really getting from him. And Speed 7's great. It's really great, especially since you've lost all of your abilities to ignore terrain from 3rd edition. So extra speed's very, very good. So big things on his card. 1, Beneath the Leaves, he has a constant aura of concealment around him for 2 inches. Which is quite useful. That's, I think, maybe why he's only 5/5, is that he almost quite often has concealment. And then his other ability, which is probably the thing I spent the most stones, second thing I spent the most stones on, and that's saying a friendly model within 6 of them suffers damage. You can burn a soul stone to place that model within 4 inches of itself, and then they gain a hidden token, which is quite useful for keeping your stuff alive, if you have the stones in, at least.
I feel like that's why he's 5/5, because that's not restricted to other, so that can hit him as well. So like, oh, you shoot him once, and then he's hidden, concealed, maybe has a badge token. But yeah, I can see where he's still probably taking a lot of hits.
Yeah. I do really like the kind of narrative visibility of that, though. It's very Western. Oh no, someone hit me with pot shot. Better dive behind this tumbleweed.
Gotta cut him off at the pass.
I hate that cliche.
So I guess the nice thing is they don't have to be targeted. It still has to be an attack, but
yeah, how about that? That's a worthwhile consideration.
I think it happened exactly once where I wanted to move someone that got blasted onto.
Yeah, it's not always going to come up, but it's worth remembering that, like,
hey, that's a nice little trick.
Someone
and hidden tokens. We didn't go over this crew is very, very token heavy and multiple tokens. So many goddamn tokens in this crew. I guess that's something I didn't mention before. So they got 2. I don't know if anyone else runs with them, but they're the only ones I think of, the hidden and exposed tokens. Hidden token gives the model cover. It just gives them cover. It doesn't specify any limitation, so regardless of what's hitting them, they always have cover. That's good, especially if you run into models that have like singular damage ticks. Doesn't happen a whole ton though. And then the exposed token, which literally never came up, I think. Possibly. Maybe once? Exposed tokens just does the reverse of hidden. It says, hey, you don't get cover. You never get cover. Which I personally would prefer to ignore concealment than cover, because concealment comes up a lot more than cover does, but yeah, that's me. I'm sure there's someone that got a lot of use out of the exposed tokens. But that's his front, just the 2 abilities. Decent front of card. Then we go to the back, and his gifted gun is its gun. It does 3 damage because he's a master, of course it does. With all right triggers. I mean, it also hands out the exposed token, which it's fine. Again, you don't do anything with exposed tokens. It's just generic benefit to your crew. Like, there's nothing extra about the exposed tokens, at least on this crew, that your crew can like fiddle with. See, among the willows, choose a marker within 3 inches of the target. That's marker removal. And draw out secrets, which is probably your most important trigger. There's very little scheming in this crew. And so you really want to save your high tomes for him and save your high tomes for the Clipper, who has what's the one where you shoot someone, you can drop the ski marker anywhere within
vantage point.
Vantage point. Yeah. Those are definitely where your high tomes are going. Cotton Quicksand gives out staggered, moves the model. That's it. Relatively simple, and he's going to be shooting things relatively often. And he's a decent hitter. He's nothing super spectacular, but he's a decent hitter. His one bonus action into action is nice sometimes, and also sometimes you don't have targets for it. It just other ally only. You can place them within 3 inches of themselves, and they gain a badge token. Technically, you could use it to move someone. And sometimes that's what all I could use it for, because everyone within 6 of him already had a badge on him. So I still counted one of those as like, this is kind of where I didn't really have a use for my signature. Like a 3-inch move is okay, but it's not what you're burning a 6 for. Um, but the recruit, you really want your triggers on this one. One allows you to put the badge on another model within 6 inches, and the crow lets him put hidden on the model he just put the badge on. So him and Bernadette are the ones putting out badges on things. We'll get to Bernadette later. And then lastly, Bounty Pay. This is probably his sort of signature bread and butter action. Everyone within 6 of him and himself heal 2. Everyone within the 6 of them that has a badge token and him heal 2. That can be quite a bit of health. It's kind of a tight bubble because 6 inches actually isn't that big, but usually I'm getting like 6 health off of it. Sometimes 8. I think one time I got 10. I guess I need to specify allies with badges, because there is a workaround. There's a way to cheat the whole badge system. And the triggers are decent. Vanish is quite useful, but I usually don't luck into it, and I'm not saving masks for it. That just says you can place this model at 4 inches, so a little bit of extra movement, but it costs a full action, so you're weighing that against just hitting things. So, like, I didn't really have any issue with this version of Bass. It seemed relatively simple, but the lack of being able to really get exposed, I mean, hidden on yourself outside of taking a shot to the teeth and burning a soul stone, it was a bit rough. Whereas a lot of things in this keyword have ways of making better use out of hidden or getting it on themselves. I mean, the beneath leaves thing is fine, but he's usually going to dive in because he wants to be kind of a distraction in the middle of his fighting crew. So mostly he is punching people with that gun. I did not shoot it a whole ton. That also means that your opponent's going to be close enough to negate his concealment as well. Okay. Thoughts on Cornelius?
I mean, all the individual actions seem interesting and helpful. I can definitely see where, even reading it kind of, and admittedly some of this is colored by kind of the way you covered the crew cards with your initial takes on them. But I can see where that kind of looks like in some cases you're building decent walls on top of a shaky foundation, or if not shaky, a rather very specifically designed foundation.
It's a decent 3D model, but they didn't put enough supports on it.
There we go. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I'm not big on his only signature specifically only being able to target an other ally, especially when his is the crew card with no signature actions on it. He feels very limited in what he can do in an activation, and I don't love that for a master.
Yeah, almost like you need to plan his activation and probably someone else's around making sure he has a decent target for that.
Yeah, like to get best use out of him, he has to always have a buddy nearby.
Yep.
Yep, which he usually does, but those models are very quick to get badges on them, and my playstyle, I wasn't spending the badges very often. So after a little bit, it was a case of like, hey, this is how you can get badges on birds and the sandworm. They can't get it the normal way, but you can throw them onto them with Cornelius. So I mean, there's that workaround. They can't use the front of card abilities, which sucks, but at the very least, the birds won't die in one hit. And the sandworm just becomes so unbelievably difficult to kill.
Ungodly killable. Yeah, Jesus Christ, this model. We'll get there when we get there, but oh my God.
But yeah, it's really just a case of like, things could work together better and easier. And a lot of times you're paying for that jankiness with cards or just having to like sacrifice efficiency. But yeah, it was very much, I did not realize like how underpowered this crew felt just by looking at this version of Bass. Let's keep going. Let's talk about my favorite model in the keyword.
Hell yeah.
Bernadette Bass Furtive. I really like this version of her. It's great. Don't like that willpower. Not a lot of, at least when I was checking, not a ton of totems have the 5 defense 4 willpower, and that seems really weird for a human that's all about being headstrong.
Especially when it's on both of them.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
That's not great.
Yeah.
It didn't, not a ton of stuff targeted her willpower outside of the Jackdaw game, but this one is worth focusing down from your opponent, and I mean, I guess both of them are, but this one can be pretty punishing if you don't take care of her, and it's not going to be that hard unless she is got her favorable terrain up, which is a pseudo keyword ability. Favorable terrain. If this model has cover or concealment, it has both. Which, if you remember before, you can hand out hidden tokens from some of these models, and if you have hidden token on you, then you have concealment. Ta-da! The one thing that I never actually bothered to look up is if that can just cycle in amongst itself. In that, if I have concealment, then I gain cover. However, if the person that is attacking me is within 1 inch of me, it says that they can ignore it, but that doesn't say you don't have it.
It's a compelling question.
So does that mean that it gives me cover, and then favorable terrain procs again, which means that I have concealment that my opponent can't ignore because it's no longer coming from the terrain? Which seems a little broken, but also I'll take what I can get. Yeah, it's something I never looked up. I'm sure someone knows out there knows, but that was a thought I had come up with. But yeah, she's got favorable terrain, so she's going to be at least a little bit survivable if you can get her into either proper terrain or put a hidden token on her. Lay of the Land says when you make a scheme marker with an interact action, you can create another scheme marker if you remove a friendly token from her, which she doesn't have on a whole ton. Unless you specifically want to prep it, but that's like her burning an action for an extra action later. So it's not really anything. And there's, outside of putting hidden on her, which you never want to take off, there's not a lot of friendly stuff that's going to be put into tokens on her. But anyways, Trailblazer gives her bonus action if she's in concealment or has a hidden token, so she can take an extra walk. Good. Trailblazer's a good ability, especially with this crew that puts out a little bit of the hidden tokens, but you're still really wanting your map to have concealment, if at all possible.
I mean, a good table should, but yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's not placed in fortuitous spots, though. Lucky enough on the back of her card, you don't use this. I guess if you really need to like stab something, go ahead, but you're not using it. You're using Tripwire, which is my favorite action, and the reason I love this model so much, because it can be really brutal. That lets her target a token, a marker within 8 inches of her, and pulls out as target number 14 speed duel, which most things are going to need an 8 for. And if they fail, they take 2 damage and gain staggered, so they no longer need an 8, they need a 10 the next time it comes around. And it's their signature action, so you are hopping it off 3 times if you can.
Yep.
It's great.
I remember in our Sandeep Frontier game, I was like, oh no, you have target numbers too, and yours turn off my weird movement tricks if they go off.
Oof.
Yep. And then just the icing on the cake, her fucking triggers are all real good. The tome one lets her remove the target, which if you're using an enemy scheme marker, you'll save that mid tome for the last time you use Tripwire just to remove it. On your heels, it's a teleport next to it, so it's an 8-inch teleport. It's pretty nice. Darn good. And then the one thing I use soul stones for the most in this keyword, Resonant Twang. Allies within 2 inches of the target move up to 3 inches and gain a hidden token. So on several games where I've run Bernadette furtive, I've had someone else place a scheme marker and then her going second, just pushing everyone 3 inches and getting everyone hidden. If not everyone, a good chunk of the keyword, because that makes everyone just a little bit safe for turn 1. But after that, it's a little bit harder to go off. So usually it's just like the biggest ball of a fight. I'll make sure that the token gets down so I can start shooting this off. She can also hand out badges, and then she has resupply, which I almost never use because she is going very early in the turn.
Makes sense.
So I usually don't have a ton of low cards in my discard pile at that point. One thing of note, her gear up, which is her way of putting out badges, kind of like Cornelius's, but his doesn't do the push. It doesn't have to be an ally. I feel like this was an oversight from the devs, but this is the one singular way you can put badges on things that aren't in keyword.
I love the idea that Bernadette is just handing out badges to who the fuck ever. She's just adopting people.
Yeah, no, I kind of love that.
Dad's a bit more strict about who he trusts and who he's deputizing. Bernie's like, here, you're part of the crew. Here, have this. You're my friend now. We're getting soft tacos later.
I think I've actually got the heel off on it, but yeah, it's a second bonus action that hands out badges and is cheaper than Bass's. Now that I think about it, I think he needs a 6 and she only needs a 5.
Well, he's got to go through all the extra steps of like doing the background check on people. Also, his is only 6 inches. Hers is 8.
His has the place though, so
that's true. I'm just saying she's got a better fling in her wrist to throw the badges.
She's just frisbeeing these motherfuckers like ninja stars. Yeah, you're a cop now.
I love this.
But that's her, and I think you hear the excitement in her voice. I really enjoyed running her. Obviously, the second my opponent received 3 tripwires to the teeth for like 3 or 4 models, they immediately tried to kill her.
Yeah. Oh, she's gotta die. Yeah, she looks good. Yep. She looks fun. I like that.
All right, so now let's go to the other version of Bass, which is inverted, where I was much more excited for the Bass and considerably less excited for the Bernadette. Badland Sheriff, Cornelius Bass, Badland Sheriff. He's got an extra plink of defense, which is great. And sacrificed a point of movement. However, he has rush, so he's actually faster anyways.
Neat.
Kind of funny.
But technically not, because if you do a triple walk with Bass with the lone verdict, that's 21 inches versus
this would get 20.
20. So not that big of a deal. Tangled in the Briars is not used nearly as much as the other version. This one is, if he specifically gets hit, not friendlies within 6, just him, and it has to target him too, he can burn a soul stone, and then he moves the attacker as opposed to the model that got hit and give the attacker exposed, which is not useful a whole ton of the time. I've only used this, I think once or twice, and I think both of those games were against, or there's in a singular game against Euripides.
I will say, coming from the other side of the table of this one, it is a bit of a deterrent. If you have the stone up to use it, it's like, is my positioning getting fucked up gonna matter that much? And you have to weigh that. So I wouldn't discount it entirely. It's more of a deterrent measure than anything, I would say. Just the threat of it being there.
Here's the thing, though. You want him to be getting shot as much as possible.
Fair.
So I guess you can move them around to make it slightly more inconvenient for them, but you want them to just keep pumping shots into them at all possible, and we'll get to why that is in not even in a bit. It's because of the crew card action that lets him heal every time he attacks someone and peels off a token off of them. So his whole thing is just soak as many hits as he possibly can and just keep healing so your opponent's AP is wasted. He has the Warrants ability, which is something he shares with Bernadette. This is the only way to get out bounty tokens, which is not great. Because you also want him in the thick of things, but it also means that it's not that hard to break a line of sight to stuff. But how they get out bounty tokens is if a model within 10 inches that he can see uses the interact action, or they successfully attacks a friendly model, they gain the bounty token. So, I mean, that's another reason why people probably want to put shots into him, which is good.
Yeah.
But I think the easier thing for them is just to kill Bernadette and then have that chunk of the table be free of putting out bounty tokens, because you really do want to split both of them to cover as much of the table as possible to get those out, because they're very useful tokens.
Yeah.
Back of card, Shackles. This is what he's mostly going to be attacking with, albeit it's not great at face value because it's skill 6 targeting speed, so you are matching most models in the game.
That's not great.
Nope. But I mean, he immediately puts staggered on them if he hits. But that's, again, like, you probably need to burn a card to guarantee that first hit before you can actually be 2 up on them. Me personally, I would rather this go to skill 7 and reduce the damage by like 1 and maybe put that damage on the shotgun.
I was going to say, how much of that is based on the fact that the shotgun puts out staggered to models that were damaged by it?
Considering you need a raise to actually get the like pulse off, to get multiple staggers on it.
I mean, yeah, but it's models damage by, so you target one guy, put staggered on him. I see the issue being like the shotgun is 10 inches. I mean, he has rush, so 8. So you're 1 inch short from maximum, assuming no terrain and nonsense, of shoot, charge, shackle the staggered thing.
You want him to be a disruption piece as fast as possible, so I'm almost always taking that charge as opposed to using the shotgun.
Okay.
Sometimes I do need to use the shotgun, but like I guess I shouldn't say it's not good at face value. The big issue being that skill 6 against speed, but also like he hits, he gives them staggered, he moves them 2 inches, he moves himself 2 inches, so you can just rearrange a whole bunch of the board with each attack.
Yeah, you just gotta land that first hit.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just wondering if they just have it at 6 versus speed, but the idea of lawman chase you, shoot to first, get you staggered, charge in, now he's +2 to your stat. But then the question is, why is he giving staggered on the shackles if he already have it? So I see where this is another one of those things of, all right, we have some thematic versus some mechanic happenings here, and the cogs and gears aren't quite lining up as much as we would think they would, ?
Going back to the shackles, got a crow trigger to summon a clockwork trap in base contact with the target, which is okay. We'll get to the clockwork traps. I've got issues. Knock aside, which makes that 2-inch movement 5 inches total, which is pretty significant. Just whipping someone with shackles and yeeting them across the board. And then the big one, tough as nails, which can be absolutely brutal. This is what you're actually probably spending your soul stones on. Once per turn, this model heals 4, +2 if this action receives a raise. So it's going to be like your second or third hit after you've staggered the person, so now you're 2 up on them, so you're likely to get that raise off. But you couple this with the other ability that says, hey, you strip a token off of them to heal yourself too, and suddenly you're spending a soul stone to heal 8 wounds. Which is over half your health. And the one
backbreaking
I mentioned before, I had a ton of soul stones because Yuri's crew was utterly murdering the rest of mine. But I healed 22 wounds off of Bass just by himself.
Jesus.
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah. That's good. It's good. And
that's pretty good.
I guess I didn't mention this before, but the ability is after an attack, you resolve an attack, you remove a token. So you don't even have to hit them. They just have to have a friendly token on them, which a lot of the models in this crew just innately give one out. So Bass, if you really need to heal him, he'll just smack you with the shackles, put staggered on you, remove the staggered immediately to heal. Hit you with the shackles, put staggered on you, immediately remove the shackles to heal. I mean, the staggered to heal. Like, it can be just a stupid amount of healing.
That's pretty spicy. That is for sure.
Yep. Then the rune shotgun was mentioned before. It's supposedly like his signature weapon, but it only deals 2 damage, and the only way to like pulse out damage, which is sort of like the shotgun's signature ability, is to get a raise. And that doesn't happen just a whole ton because it's stats 6 defense, and your opponent knows that they don't want that damage to pulse as a stagger to pulse out. I really wish he just had a trigger that said, what is specifically the trigger that just gives you a raise? I feel like that would make it broken. I know it's on Rams, which he has free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Puncture.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. I just wish he had puncture on that so you could make that. That would immediately make the shotgun more viable as an option too, because of the efficiency of putting stagger down on multiple things. And then we get to his signature actions, which on the trail, target a model with a bounty token, move this model up to its speed towards target, and then you can possibly summon a clockwork trap within 6 inches, which may declare a melee attack, which, they aren't great. It's not like you were just chomping at the bit to get these things to attack enemy models. But the real problem is that it's very hard to get this off turn 1. Admittedly, you are usually holding him back near the end of the turn to activate, but getting an opponent within 10 inches of him or Bernadette and to either hit a friendly or interact isn't that easy. And then to get him within 10 of that model too. And then the other bonus, just summon a clockwork trap. So the issue really is that if you aren't putting out bounties, Sometimes you just don't have a signature to really use. And on a 4, you can summon a Clockwork Trap, but sometimes they are a detriment, and they're only a peon that just can't activate. It's really just a glorified marker. But anyways, it is still just a lot of fun to just take those shackles and just start moving everyone, rearranging your opponent's entire crew, and suddenly he's in amongst all of them, just begging to get punched so that he can heal later. So as an opponent, what you really want to do is get a little bit of damage on him to a point where he doesn't want to burn a stone to heal quite yet, and then try to chunk down that 8 or 9 or 10 wounds all in one go before he can reactivate. That's a big thing. But yep, this one works a lot smoother than the other Bass. However, his totem is something. This Bernadette has the same stats, exactly the same stats. She's got expert climber, so she's a bit more mobile. But her only way of not dying to a stiff breeze is the Seek Advantage ability that says models with staggered can't hurt her. I mean, can't cheat against her. Blah. Which is not great.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like enough.
If you want to keep her alive, then you need to actively be putting staggered out on anything that could threaten her. And I think the idea is that they want you to be putting out traps to put staggered out on things that activate near them to keep her alive, but she needs specifically a trigger to put out a trap herself. And Bass is the other one that can reliably put out traps. I guess I could bring Nate, but the problem with Paul is the only way he's bringing. No, he can shoot traps at people. So yeah, the problem is I didn't bring Paul a whole lot. It just quite often seemed like she didn't have enough defense on her, so she died probably the most out of any named model. Died first because everything else is just healing to Kingdom Come.
So what I'm hearing is one of the other reasons that Frontier had to move over to Arcanus is because Mr. Crockett, if that is his real name, stole the newly built technology for Witch Hunter that would have allowed Samuel Hopkins to shoot a bear trap from his gun. Excellent. Good job.
So back for card, she's just has...
Yeah, that's why you shoot it out of a gun.
A pretty terrible attack. Skill 6 deals 2 damage, and you need a mask to put out staggered, which you really want, because you're probably shooting something that you want to not be able to cheat against you. But I'm trying to remember, there's better uses for the masks, I think, throughout the keyword. So quite often I didn't have it. Spread your name is probably what she's going to be doing a decent amount, and that's the only way to... This is the only way to put out bounty tokens that doesn't involve your opponent interacting or attacking models near the Basses.
On arguably your most killable model.
Yep. I mean, coordinated attack it is kind of nice, but I'm usually doing this at range. She's the one that's trying to not die, so she's usually taking the side of the board that has fewer, more mobile stuff. And those things are considerably less engaged than the things Bass is currently slapping shackles on. But however, this is another way to pull it out a Clockwork Trap, so arguably this is probably the safer way to get that staggered out, because you still want to be putting bounties on things. But I guess there's also the way the threat of that Clockwork Trap could die before that model activates. Anyway, she's got Rope Hoe. I very, very rarely use this because I'm usually carrying her around with Clipper. Both versions is usually the thing Clipper's carrying around. And so she's activating after the Clipper, and by that time, she's usually not in a spot to start roping people on top of terrain. I know I had one game where I got good use out of it, so it's something that's definitely doable, but usually you want to be spending your signature on Spread Your Name if at all possible. And then Gifted Deck, which is a really cool, different way of doing card draw, but again, after turn 1, she's usually activating pretty early. Oh wait, no, this is just draw off the top. This is just considerably better than the other one because this is look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Take up to 2 of them that have value of 1 through 5, and then place them back in any order. So that's quite good.
Notably 5 or less, so you could snag a Black Joker with this.
Oh, hey, yeah, you can do that.
See it. I think the downside is that you could just hit 3, 6 or betters. and then you spend a stone for nothing.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a risky card draw.
That's her. Just considerably less excited with Bravo versus Furtive.
That's fair.
Thoughts on her? Outside of just being kind of a bit too easy to kill.
I do kind of like the through line between the two Bernadettes, that Dad is the by the book guy, and she, in this case, instead of flinging stars, is the one that's more likely to be like, yeah, that guy. I totally saw him do a thing. Bounty on that guy.
Should write his fanfic.
Exactly. Whereas Bass is like, no, I saw it.
John, sick him.
But yeah, she seems like she has a lot of both the go juice for what this version wants to do, and a lot of the in general utility. Because like I could see a world where, I don't know, walk up, rope hoe a friend with you, spread your name on somebody is a good opening turn with her, because you've effectively gotten a more or less free walk / climb onto a friend. You've hopefully gotten out a bounty token. She's up a little bit, but she's not up in it yet. But yeah, I could see where that, even with totems being significantly more survivable this edition than previous, that still seems like a lot of the enablement package to put onto one squishy young woman.
What I usually do to hopefully keep her alive a little bit longer is that while the Clipper is her taxi turn 1, the Clipper is usually a flex to go to either side of the board that he's needed. And Jonathan is the one that's babysitting her, because Jonathan's probably the most reliable way to put hidden on her. If you don't have hidden, if you have hidden on her, the survivability goes up decently much, and Jonathan can also heal her if need be. So let's see. Okay, let's go and just cover the Clockwork Trap now,
Makes sense.
because these basses use it a lot more than the other one, which I would consider to be kind of a problem, because when you're supposed to be like putting out peons as mechanic for your keyword that doesn't have very many models, you should make it useful for both versions. The only way to get it, if you aren't bringing Balin Sheriff, is to bring Crockett, and he's going to need to save your high crows, I think, or stalk enemies that are putting down ski markers, which kind of can put these things in on. Okay, so the Clockwork Trap is weird. It cannot activate. It's peon. It cannot activate. It has the worst stats in the game. 4 defense, 0 willpower, 0 speed.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Size 1 though seems OP.
So their entire shtick is, if an enemy model activates within 3 inches of them, that model gains staggered. So they only have staggered for their activation, which is mildly annoying, but not debilitating. The only like big synergy with this is that's the way to kind of protect Bernadette. And then if an enemy model ends an activation with within 3 of them, specifically one can teleport to that model and then bite it. And this is the biggest magnet for my high cards I've ever seen. So it's skill 4, targeting defense, dealing 1 damage. Got a raise value of 3. And I'm only flipping like 12s and 13s for it.
That's kind of funny.
It's got a reposition trigger, but you're already teleporting to something to hit it. You're usually where you want to be anyways. But yeah, that's how the Clockwork Trap is, and I feel like most of this just could have been on a token.
Yeah. Well, and I'm looking at this, and my immediate thought is, it's a trap that's already handing out staggered, and off the top of my head, I don't know which would happen first, of remove the staggered, or this gets to happen at the end of the activation. Why isn't it attacking speed? Like, both thematically for a trap, it's like, I see the trap. I will pull my leg out of it faster than it can bite me. The trap is not aiming at you. It's not going against your defense.
What I would prefer to happen, since this is effectively... So when any model ends its activation, so the activation has to end. Like clear staggered. So attacking speed wouldn't be great. However, if the attack could at least put staggered back on them, I would appreciate
at least
that.
Have like a trigger or something.
Yeah, on a trigger. Don't make it happen innately, but like be able to be a bigger nuisance for your opponent. But,
well, and better enable your crew, or at least your master, like we were talking about too. Like, if these are kind of a summonable totem token, if you will, let them do what they're supposed to do. Trap the bad guy so the lawman can grab them.
Mm-hmm. My other beef with them is the beef I have with peons in general, in that the game needs to not allow on-kill effects to be farmed off of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would go so far.
That's a bit of a problem.
Especially these guys that can't activate and can't move. I would think they should also be immune to like pulse effects, like your opponent specifically targeting them to get a pulse effect off.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, bare minimum on kill effects on peons is not great.
The nice thing though is that at the very least you can kill them at the end of the turn, because quite often they will find themselves nowhere near any other models. And suddenly having 4 on the board that can't do anything, and now you can't summon anymore, then it would suck. So I'm glad they got that sorted.
Yeah, that is nice.
And they're just a bitch to assemble. Okay, let's get on to our non-master totem stuff. Jonathan Reichert is a fucking tank. Holy shit. He's very reliable. I've never had him be like ungodly powerful in any game, but he's just very, very solid. He's got 6 defense, 6 willpower, 6 speed, favorable terrain. So if he can get hidden on himself or sit in concealment or all that other stuff, then he's posting out negative flips on your opponent's attacks and effectively having a better version of armor. And then on top of that, hard to kill. And then on top of that, a way to heal himself, 2 ways to heal himself. On top of that, the healing from the Badlands Sheriff crew card. Or the badge, which is a second hard to kill. I think I lost him only once, and that was because Execute sucks against this crew.
Yeah, I'd imagine when you don't have any cards, that would, in fact, suck.
Yep. Yeah. It's just real solid back a card as an Executioner Claw. Executioner Claw, sorry, my bad.
So if he gets executed, does that make him an executioner?
Former Executioner.
Ah, there we are.
An expired Executioner.
There it is.
The Executioner, formerly known as Jonathan Reichert.
If that is his real name, or I guess it is his real name. He's no longer disguised.
Yeah. The bandana stopped working.
The bandana became, dare I say it, infamous.
I've gotten 1 execution off in 12 games, and that was against like a full health Molly, and that ended up being a detriment to myself because I had taken runic binding. But still, it was still like, okay. I mean, that's off the table. That's still probably
on the other hand, Molly's dead.
Yep. Knock aside, it is what it is, and a different spend a soul stone to heal, but he just didn't take a whole ton of damage in any of the games. Signature's very, very useful. I almost never use it against enemy models, but it is target against speed. They are moved up to 4 inches and gain either exposed or hidden, so almost always hidden. Great triggers on that as well. You're almost always searching for that crow, which will give him hidden as well, and thus proccing favorable terrain.
Or, I mean, if you're near the right position, you want that ram for that sudden strike and swing 3 times. Yep. That seems all right.
Yeah.
The few times I did it against my opponent was specifically to either like threaten that or force a good card out of their hand, because then they know it's like, oh, I'm going to push you 4 inches towards me and then attempt to stab you. I don't think I ever got Together off.
That's a nice trigger too. Yeah, it is
quite a nice trigger. The thing is, I'm mostly using it to get hidden out because your crew bleeds a lot. And hidden goes away at the end of the turn, so your first couple of activations is panic trying to get the token back out to your crew before they die.
Oh god, they can see us.
That sounds familiar. What crew setup does that sound familiar for? Oh, I know what that's tickling my brain for. That is Tui Brewy's problem.
Yeah.
You sobered up over your turn. I really need you to get drunk again.
Fuck. Like I clocked the gameplay loop of it early. I was like, oh, this is where you take a lot of damage, but then you heal it back up, or you get mitigation out to the point where you're a lot tougher and still alive at the end of the turn, but at the beginning of the turn, you're vulnerable. You're very vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's Jonathan. Nothing super exciting. Just a very, very solid, good model.
Yeah, that's just a solid 10-stone henchman card.
Yep.
Yeah.
I see zero issues with that. Potential 3 attacks, good signature action, healing, good attack.
Lots of healing.
Yeah. Good defenses.
And then surprisingly enough, a very good 9-stone model. So Frontier shares some similarities with M&SU, one of them being very top-heavy as far as, like, quality. The Clipper is a big metal bird. Defense 6, willpower 4, speed 7 with Fly With Me makes him really fast. Because you're also getting... that Fly With Me is effectively 6 inches.
Yep.
On a 50mm base, plus armor and a crew that hands out better than armor fairly often. So if you need him to live, you put that hidden on him, and while he doesn't force the concealment negative flip, armor plus hidden plus defense 6 is usually going to make it very hard for you to kill him.
Yeah.
Yes, hidden. That's what Clipper is.
Y'all see where the giant robot dragon went?
Yep. So front of card, up we go. Always very good. Good disruptive piece.
Classic.
Up we go with a knock aside and daze. This is your bread and butter for make it look like an accident. So you just throw them on top of a building and immediately shove them off.
Whoopsie.
Yep. But that's effectively 6 inches of movement. More if you like throw them behind you. Or, its current location. Sorry, its current location. My bad. But still, yeah, that's a good chunk of distance, and that stuns cannot be understated how useful stunned is, both in this edition and the previous one. This is very good, but you are also quite often shooting people with your pneumatic spike, just dealing 3 damage, very solid attack, putting out staggered, which then he can peel off to heal himself in the Badlands Sheriff's crew. And this is where your vantage point comes in. This is where one of the few ways you can put down scheme markers. So you're definitely trying to get your tomes off on that one, if at all possible. The big, like, 1-2 punch with him, and part of the reason why he's dragging around Bernadette, especially Bernadette 1, is the ideal being he goes, drops a scheme marker, then she immediately activates and pops tripwire off of that scheme marker a couple of times.
Yeah, it's spicy.
And then Flame With Me, which that explosive entrance is such an interesting trigger. I don't know if anyone else has it, but it says the model that you targeted for the action basically kind of blows up, and target number 11 duel for 2 damage isn't much, but it's more card bleed a lot of the time. It's just good to have. But the thing is, this is the only time where you should be targeting yourself with Fly With Me. There's nothing that says you can't target yourself. You're friendly to yourself. But if you don't plan on transporting anyone, you're just like, if I top deck that tome, might as well blow up off of myself and cause some more TNs and maybe a little damage. One sec. That was the Clipper, and okay, move on to everyone's favorite worm. Sandworm is a distraction card effects.
Yes.
I'm sure there's another term for that, and generic term for that,
Nope.
but
nope,
oh, really?
that's the term. That's the term for forever. The internet said so. Huh?
So what's a distraction card effects, you say? Because you've thankfully have never had to deal with 40k. It is a model that looks big and scary, but the entire point of it is to be a big old distraction where the rest of your crew is actually doing the work. So the Sandworm, it's got garbage stats, 4 defense, 4 willpower, 5 speed on an 8 cost model, but he bulky. No actual like damage reduction on him, but 13 wounds and a demise that heals him 6 and teleports him. That's a once per turn demise. It's quite useful. Plus the healing and or badges, which may add an extra layer of being difficult to kill. Don't turn your back. Very useful. From the shadows is it's decent. I've never found a situation where I just wanted to park him right outside the opponent's deployment zone and throw him in one activation, because that will get him killed without any support, and I just didn't want to get rid of him because he's kind of a key part of the crew in general. But I'm sure, like, certain things I would want him to hunt. I just never came across them. Like, isn't the Nightcrawler Network just a utter piece of garbage, do I recall correctly?
Yeah. You definitely still want to kill that fucker.
Yeah.
If you have a model that can hunt him down early game, do it.
Yeah, hunt Creepy Steve.
Creepy Steve.
Front of the card, back of card, snapping tongues. It's an 8-cost model with a base 4 damage attack. That's pretty good. The reason he's a distraction card effect instead of a beater is the fact that it's skill 5.
Yeah. It's the threat.
So if you really wanted to hit, you're paying your precious few high cards. But that immediately puts out staggered, which again, you can just heal off of it if you wanted in Bass 2. Badland Sheriff. Triggers are okay. You don't really want to use Knock Aside because you're usually just wanting to bite the same thing over and over again. Final Nibble and Tear Off a Bite also being helpful. Tear Off a Bite is great because then you pair that with the healing from Badland Sheriff and something they're healing 4 on attacks, which is just the one time I see the light fade from my opponent's eyes because they were spending so many resources to killing him. They they broke Demise, and then he went and then healed almost back to full because I got some lucky brands in there. Tear from Below is his mobility piece for the most part. Secretly, Bass, specifically Lone Verdict, is a marker removal crew. Or it's not a crew. You have 3 models that can do it, but if you want to put effort into marker removal, they can do a decent job of it. But this lets them place into base contact with who they hit. Stat 6 against speed, so again, you are matching just about everyone. But it's an 8-inch range magic attack, so that he can actually book it pretty far if you really need him to. But the thing is that you teleport next to them, and then you basically remove all the markers within 1 inch of the target, and then they take damage equal to the number of markers removed. It is not optional. I have accidentally lost my own ski markers before.
Ooh, whoops.
I mean, that's
rough.
At least it got translated into damage. But
yeah, you're getting something out of it. You're not just like, oops, I blew up my own marker. Whoopsie doodle.
And then my favorite action, technically in the entire keyword, Sandstorm, because I grew. Yeah, exactly. That is a 4-inch pulse off of his base, which is a 50mm marker, and just deal 1 damage to any models in range. So for 6, I think the most I caught was 5.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
That was the Jackdaw game though, so that didn't end up winning it for me.
Fair.
Yeah, it's a nice big bubble, and like if you're getting 4 or 5 damage off, it's more reliable than biting at things, honestly.
Yeah.
And then Hunker Down. That's really, if you've got a mid crow, that's why you're doing Sandstorm, just to make them slightly harder to kill. Because anything that can put hidden on itself, you want to try and get that as much as possible. Yeah. So he's mostly there to burn cards out of my opponent's hand and make them scared of the worm. Although he will get a couple of those 4 damage attacks off, but mostly you are saving your high cards for slightly more fucky influential attacks. Like he will hit like a brick, but a lot of times you don't need to hit like a brick. You need to stop your opponent from winning the game. Unless that's strictly killing, I'm usually using my higher cards for other things.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep. I never got around to it, but I think this is where you would want to bring Vogel in for putting out Adversary. That would relieve the hand pressure.
Oof. Yeah.
Especially since his actually works for, or excuse me, no, I'm thinking of the other one. But yeah, the other part of Wolf Vogel works for Beast too, so that's a nice aspect.
Yeah, got a few beasts, and specifically this guy, and then birds, which are something. All right,
definitely not robots for the government.
Yep, that's the sandworm. My opinion on him changed because I was initially like, oh, min 4 damage for an 8-cost model, he's just going to be Reckon Face. But yeah, that stat 5 really changes how you need to look at him.
Yeah, because if you're trying to use that, you're definitely asking for cards.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not like
moving
you're
on.
usually flipping that.
Occasionally you'll top deck it, but most of the really high top decks are going to my 2 and 3 cost useless pieces of garbage.
Hell yeah.
That's had some really interesting luck. These 12 games. Okay, moving on to our first minion, the Austringer, who is very feast or famine.
Skipping over me?
You cost less.
Not fair enough. We're going cost order. Got it.
Yeah, going in cost order.
That's funny.
Seems so weird. How many 6 Soulstone unique models are there? I feel like there's not a lot.
He's a henchman too. That's like
why
6-stone henchman's kind of rare.
What the fuck is the point of that? Why would you ever put this guy give this guy the extra AP when Jonathan exists?
Maybe John died somehow.
It's impossible. I don't think it's outside of the execution.
John died and Paul did some bizarro world game. And Bass died, and you're like, well, I need someone to have a third action. Might as well be Paul.
Okay. I guess we will just cover Paul since we're talking about
Paul. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail
5 defense, 5 willpower, 7 move. So that's speed, whatever.
Technically.
No extra movement tech, which I would kind of expect from the named frontiersman here, but
yeah, I would expect of anyone like at least Paul to have unimpeded or something.
He's got one specific thing that requires hitting the opponent, but favorable terrain is his defense. Ralphie No, which I've never ever used. It's a cute ability, but it requires you to remove a friendly token from yourself, and most often that friendly token is hidden that you don't want to get rid of.
Yep.
Yeah.
If we had more models putting out different tokens besides hidden, that would be a lot more useful. But we don't. It's mostly just hidden and no, we're not getting rid of badges either.
No. Here's your option. For 2 stones, bring the effigy, and just have it be here, have an adaptable. Use that to throw your raccoon at people.
Yeah, fair. And that's the best part is that if he's targeted and damaged, you can pull off a friendly token to deal 1 damage to the attacker. It's cute. I like that it's there. It just needs more reliable friendly tokens for it to be a thing. Back a card.
It'd be nice if there was a way to synergize with it.
Yeah. Back of the card, Woodsman's Axe, skill 5, 2 damage. Got Finisher, which is actually kind of useful since you do put out a lot of unique tokens on the enemy models. But he doesn't want to be in the thick of it whatsoever. So usually you're punching ski runners and stuff, which are less likely to have those tokens on them. Onslaught, better. But you don't really want to be using the axe most of the time. Because it's trusty rifle, 14-inch range, good range. Sadly, it's only stat 5 as well. This is the only other way you can put out clockwork traps by shooting someone. So shoot them with the trap if you've got a nice crow, or the soulstone. The soulstone trigger lets them place within 8 inches as long as it's next to blocking terrain. So that's where the mobility is supposed to be. But I've mentioned the real good uses for your soulstones in the crew. You don't. Unless you just want to completely burn them all out quickly, you aren't doing this a whole ton.
Gun-based secret passage.
Yep. So his singular bonus action requires enemy scheme markers, so quite often he's not even using a bonus action, too.
Yeah, that's rough.
I really wish he was better.
Yeah, this is one of those cases where I know he's cheap, but I think if something is cheap, but you have to jump through that many extra hoops to make it function like you would any other model, you just need it to be a better model, or else people will take other things.
Not to spoil my own upcoming episode, but I've been kind of down on Rami and Kin, and for the same cost, Rami is leagues better than this.
I would rather buff him, put him up to 7, and then make the Ostringers 6.
That makes sense.
Some people will think that is way too damn cheap for what the Ostringers can do, but they've got a lot of weaknesses to go with the good stuff they can do. Hidden supplies. We already went over hidden supplies. Clockwork traps. Putting out traps. Yay, traps. But you notice that the big 3, your core beaters of Rykert and the Clipper and the Sandworm, do not interact with birds or the traps. And they just sort of feel tacked on a bit. So you can definitely play games where you never want to get traps out. You can definitely play games where you never want to get birds out.
Those 3 models are just independently good.
Yeah. I will say I do kind of like that Crockett's action here, while yes has the problem of if there's not something out in range, you just don't do it. You're also removing the target, so you're getting a quote-unquote model to remove a scheme marker.
Yep.
So that's something at least.
Didn't clarify it. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, it's marker removal. There's a decent spattering of marker removal in the crew. That's specifically only a scheme, but like schemes are one of the biggest things to remove in the game, so it's still good.
It's the marker that every crew's going to use.
Back to the bird boys, Austringers. These feel like they are playing a different game. So
is it Pinochle?
Every time someone brings that up, I try to remember how to spell it. So thank you for distracting me with that. Ostringers is the horrifying love child of Ostringers and Pathfinders. So neither of the models look like they're bringing all the kit to the game that the Ostringer has. So now I have one Ostringer with a rifle glued to his back, and I have one Pathfinder with a bird glued to his rifle. Balance. Pretty bad defenses for 7 cost, 5 defense, 5 willpower, 6 speed, only 1 extra wound over cost. They do have a damage reduction in threatening demeanor, which is just exclamation point armor or exclamation point Aegis. One thing of note, though, now I'll save that for when we do the overall shit. Right, Expert Climber. This is actually quite useful. Get them to where they need to be, which is always on height 2 or higher terrain. And Sniper, which is, I feel like, doing a lot of the cost here. And that adds 6 inches to their gun, so suddenly they have an 18-inch threat range. That's not nothing. That is quite significant. And then the aforementioned threatening demeanor, but pretty easy to kill, I'd say. Back of the box. Back of the card, Clockwork Rifle, as mentioned before. Only a 12-inch gun, so one of their big glaring weaknesses is that they do not have any way to defend themselves when engaged.
Oh yeah, because hand signals is another ally only.
Yeah, they don't have a way out either.
You need the reposition trigger on hand signals.
Which means you also need another friend within 8.
Yep. And surprisingly enough, that's not that common of a thing to have.
Oh, and you're sitting 18 inches back, like, you're going to be isolated and probably hunted down.
So this is the one big one where you want your high masks. Because on the Clockwork Rifle, it lets you summon a bird next to the person you shoot on a mask. Wednesday, I will destroy you. Oh, you look. No. Aster, can you get the cat bickies? She's knocking my minis off my shelf because she's hungry. Anyways, yep. The Skybound Ally is that really big trigger there to summon birds, which seems cool because they're not peons. They're 3-cost minions, but anyways, Stoke Nod, it's thankfully Stoke Nod is just line of sight because you are so rarely close to anything of yours. That just lets you heal a model within line of sight 1. And Flock is rarely gotten off. That says you just deal extra damage for birds that are near, that are engaged with that model. So basically you need to get Skybound Ally off and then hit Flock. And you only have 2 attacks. And there's almost no guarantee that bird's going to be there the next turn.
The magical Christmas land where you get +3 damage off of this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's good, but I think it's very funny that it's possible. I don't hate it.
That's why I brought double Ostringers in multiple games, is to do something like this. It just never happened, and they were too far away from anything to really affect the game and scoring. Because I think every single game where I was like giving up and like, okay, I'm tired of taking pot shots and trying to summon birds, I need to scheme with these guys, they died. Because low wounds, 1 form of reduction, it's just not a whole lot. Their 1 tactical action, hand signals, is unnecessarily restrictive. It's only once per activation. Another ally only, and for all of that, you move them 4 inches. Like, the reposition is decent. Tracker is also decent. Some of that is just distances in line of sight. That means that they're not going off a whole ton of the time. The other one is this is how you can summon a raptor, but you need to burn a soulstone for it. So you'd rather be shooting up birds at the opponent, if at all possible.
Yeah. Put the raptor in the t-shirt, Sniper.
But yeah, with it being 4 inches and the fact that these guys are so frail, I really do think that this needs to just be able to happen more than once. Or be able to target yourself.
I was just say ally only, and then the hand signal can be them flipping off the model that has engaged them and leaving.
Yeah, and then
pointing behind the other model and being like, "Look over there."
Yeah, and you could even peel off the reposition trigger at that point. Just let it target themselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Well, and I think that's like Doug was saying. These guys kind of want to look like they want to scheme. Like after, let them shoot initially, lay down some pressure for the rest of the crew, throw out some birds, and then maybe move up. Except they're gonna die.
Yeah.
And then it looks for their other tactical to go for the eyes that I'm sure Doug is going to go to here. I won't go over it, but it's an even shorter range.
It's a 6-inch pulse, and basically says your raptors can take melee attacks that are within that 6-inch pulse.
I don't know when you're ever doing that.
Yeah, if you take this action, something is going wrong. That looks to me like it should be, I have sent the raptor a hand signal from line of sight away, like stoic nod. Peck them to death, please and thank you. Good job, bird. If it could do that, and I haven't looked at the raptors yet, but I imagine their melee is not stellar, suddenly you use the hand signals turn 1 to move people up, and then the rest of the game they're going, bang, bird pecks person. Good job, bird.
Yeah, pretty much.
That would be a decent package.
One correction, you're moving person up, singular.
I'm saying if you bring 2 of them, you move 2 people between the 2 of them.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
Good clarification.
You're sparing their signature to move like Bass or John or whoever.
It would be so much better if Go for the Eyes would at least move the birds, possibly, so you could at least use this in tandem with the whistle raptor home thing, so you don't have to only be able to use it when you shoot a bird at someone 18 inches away.
Or declare a melee or charge action. Something like that.
Or what I personally would prefer is that you don't let them attack at all. You explode them into a ski marker.
Amazing.
Hell yeah.
That would do so much more work, especially if you could if you had the same range as your gun. So you could technically throw a bird at someone and immediately explode the bird into a ski marker. Because you're pretty lacking in scheme running in this crew. Surprisingly enough, a lot of the times I've had Bass do it. Which is maybe not the most ideal, but it was in a situation where he can hit things, but right now I just need 2 points to, get up on my opponent. That turn 3 in our game, Nate.
Yeah. Sometimes your master's just a 3 AP model that can scheme.
Yep.
Sometimes that's really good.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's the Austringer, but the problem is that you really feel like you need to sit them back and shoot things, but at some point you're not affecting the game and scoring points. And at that point, you just got to keep running them, and they don't have any extra movement for themselves and no extra way to scheme, so it's kind of awkward.
To your point where you're saying they kind of feel like a bastardized, amalgamation of what the Austringer used to be and the Pathfinder. It feels like they tried to combine those 2 roles, and it just kind of landed in a place that's just not quite fully cooked.
Yeah. Well, anyway, my thought to increase the package we kind of talked about earlier is if Go for the Eyes was target friendly bird in line of sight, make them charge or melee. The way you then make this package of a 7-stone model, I think, worth it for not just gun and bird out of t-shirt cannon for reasons, is you then put a vantage point trigger on Go for the Eyes. Suddenly they can sit back, guard whatever you got going on in your deployment zone at your side of the table or wherever the heck they are. Maybe they are running up a flank if Jonathan's cleared it out beforehand and they're running to scheme late game or something. But that still gives them you have to work for it, but the option of, hey, I need a scheme marker way over there. Wonder if I could get a bird over there, since that's kind of my idea of I am bird gunman, and trained the bird to poop in an exact position.
So, not to sound like I hate the models, I brought at least one every single game. They're useful as long as summoning birds doesn't benefit your opponent, which is a mistake I made in my last game against Nate, because they still drop evidence.
They are
not PS.
significant models in recover evidence. Do not summon birds in recover evidence. Unless
don't
it's
bring
going
2
to do
Ostringers
something very good for you
to recover evidence.
Probably don't bring 2 Ostringers into recover evidence.
But all I'm really saying is the double Ostringer just never worked well for me. You can't spend 14 stones on something that's not going to be very good at scheming or really messing with your opponent too much.
Yeah, you're giving up a lot of board presence.
The intent behind it was to see if I could pop out 3 birds and then do some of these extra stuff on their cards, but it just never worked out.
Yeah, they're kind of striking me as kind of a microcosm of the keyword as far as we've seen so far of based on the crew cards. It looks like this crew has a good engine and knowledge of what they want to do, but getting the engine working, you need to like rebuild the engine to better fit its gears. I'm kind of getting like these guys had the same idea of, well, we have gun, we have bird, we make bird do thing. At 6 inches for reasons. Like, there's just little things there that are just a little off that I think hopefully an errata pass will help that out. But I see where you're coming from. It's not good. Not that they're bad, it's just that they're awkward. Yep. They're teenage Austringers.
Middle evolution. I was going to say that in my overview, but it definitely feels like these guys are probably going to get looked at because they were the last keyword to come out in the beta and they had the last amount of time to bake, and it seems fairly obvious to me in the cards. So I'll just patiently wait until we get an errata for them because it would be real weird if they didn't touch this keyword.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts. Frontiersman it's a model. It's not bad. It just never wowed me, and I was probably the least brought model in this keyword for me. And I think most of that is because they're really, really fragile if you can't rely on favorable terrain, and the rest of their card makes it seem like you want them running off by themselves as scheme markers, and that's a lot hard to get that cover/concealment on yourself reliably. You really, really want the board to have a lot of concealment on it. They can give themselves hidden tokens if you have a ram in the gun action, but that's really it and very unreliable. So yeah, 5/5 defensive stats. Don't shoot her back is quite useful. I will say that. So they're decent at counter scheme runner scheming. But if that scheme runner has any support, they're going to die pretty quick unless they're getting their favorable terrain off. Trailblazer, also useful. The times I did bring them, it was with Bass 1 so that I could park them within 2 inches of him, which gives them the concealment they need for Trailblazer. And then they can scoot a little bit. Trailblazer, again, being you can spend a signature action to give them a walk. So, a little bit faster.
Okay.
Back of the card, Woodsman's Axe. Just hit him with an axe. You're coming with me is okay. Clockwork Revolver, really, you're just doing this to hopefully get that hidden token off for you or another ally that can see the model. That's actually a pretty big distance. See cover. An ally within line of sight to the target gains hidden token. So yourself or another friend that can see them from somewhere on the board. And
that
then
is pretty solid, honestly.
Reveal is bad. It's their signature action that isn't the walk they get from Trailblazer, but it just gives exposed tokens.
Yeah. I feel like that could also have the seat cover trigger to help give them the potential to get that trigger more often.
Yep.
Yeah.
That reads to me like you take this against other models that have things like favorable terrain, just to be like, you absolutely do not get your cover. What are the little bastards in Savage? Crookskins. I know they have the same thing. Like, you do not get this, full stop. Or Canehurst, I think, is another one that has it. Like, just, I'm turning that off. Other than that, I don't freaking see a reason to have this as an action over a free walk.
So, the one thing that might fix it a bit, I mean, they probably change a little bit, but I would go to the crew card of Badlands Sheriff and no longer restrict the heal ability for unique models. Because at the very least, you could use this to heal them if that wasn't the restriction.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
So if it wasn't for that, they could put exposed on someone and then just pull it off immediately to heal themselves too, which would help a little bit with the fact that they only have 6 wounds on a 5-stone model.
Yeah.
Did you ever take like all 3 of these and the worm just to see like what does 4 don't turn my back models look like?
I've never thought about that, but now I want to try it. I don't feel like that's going to happen because it's very quickly not going to be 4 models anymore.
It's going to turn down to 1 real quick.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering, like, is there a world where you take that and whatever else fills out the list, and you somehow also design that list to be like, all right, no matter what I do, I'm keeping these cards in hand to give them the fake hard to kill from the badge or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, I could see that being really annoying. Big triple asterisks if you could manage it.
Yes. I feel like they do work better in Lone Verdict just because they can get a badge on themselves and actually use that badge, which will mitigate their poor defenses a bit.
But again, you have to have a card for that you're not using somewhere else, and seems like you're going to be using those somewhere else for sure.
And feel like you're mostly hunting out scheme rockers, which want to be on your half of the board as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So there's that limitation. But if you really are just going up against scheme runners and nothing else, this is one of the few times where I feel like you could actually pull the badge off yourself to give yourself that extra movement. Because in that case, nothing's necessarily going to threaten you a whole ton without displacing from where they want to be. But yeah, that's the frontiersman. So the birds.
The birds.
I love these things, and I love these things, and I hate these things. They're just too bad. They are statted to be summons, and they've gone too far in that direction, I feel like. So the problem is that they are a cost 3 model that any decent hitter in the game is going to one hit.
Yep.
And so oftentimes they are effectively just a slow token in the game.
Especially when you're summoning them in base contact with their target. Yeah, that stealth isn't helping anybody.
Yeah, stealth is their one defensive tech, and it's never mattered at all. And 4 defense, 4 willpower, 3 wounds means quite often they're granting raises to an opponent that has 2 wounds, and now you've got to spend another card out of your hand to not have them one shot. But I mean, they got flight, they got speed 7. Their attack suppressing enough is stat 5, and it can go up to stat 6 if the opponent has stagger, but still just 1 damage.
Yeah.
I'm mostly just attacking with them to burn activations a lot of the time. Flyaway Home is decent. I don't recall if I've ever actually got that off. I think it was just a luck thing. It's an okay... If you have a high mask in hand, and you desperately need this bird to well, you can't scheme with them because you're not hiring them, because don't hire them. Do not hire these birds.
But then stealth might matter, Doug.
I can see maybe 2 cases where you would hire them. One would be if you wanted to go hey, we're doing plain explosives. I'm going to bring 3 birds and I'm just going to rush them, drop their bombs, and they're going to die. And they're putting 3 points down on the board. The other thing I could see is maybe hiring 1 in a informants, especially in a corner informants where it's you're going to be very far away from the opponent, just to park on your 1 point. Just sit back there. He's got stealth. He's all the way back here. Come get him. You have to deal with that.
I took them into corner informants, and it's actually still not that hard for an opponent to scoot a little bit towards them within 6, shoot them once, and then go back to hurting my crew.
Fair.
He actually did his job in the Jackdaw game, but also, Sean at any point could have tossed someone at him just to kill him. I'm surprised he didn't. The stoop action is quite good. It costs 3. But this is probably the best thing you can do with the Austringer, is summon them next to someone who just put down a ski marker, and then the bird activates, and with his 1 action from summoning, he just eats a ski marker. It's good. It's not the worst thing.
You just have to have a 7 to toss at it.
Yeah. But I mean, for a cost 3 model, it's understandable.
Yeah.
But the problem is that you can't hire them. The fact that I feel like babysitters for the marker back there be better with something that can actually reach out and touch stuff.
Sure.
And because it is such an easy kill, your opponent will just be more inclined to take the action or the movement and action to kill them. And then they're 6 inches out from that marker is still pretty close to the center point.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And they, I mean, at that point, they're trying to do the same role as the Austringer really wants to do, of sit back and shoot, but sit somewhere where they matter.
And I tried running them in plant, but the problem is that they don't have any extra movement, and so you either need to use one of your very few friendly movement abilities to get them up a little bit, or walk them twice and then hope they're still alive come turn 2.
Yeah. That's just me spitballing.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing I'm missing on them that I feel like they should have, especially with the idea that you are summoning them at the enemy, is they should have some kind of and again, might be too good for what it would be, but latch on or don't turn your back, some kind of reason for them to be engaging the opponent other than, oh, here's an engagement range.
Maybe they could put staggered out.
Right. Like something to maybe like hey, if you start engaged with this, you have to discard a card or gain staggered.
Yeah, I can see that.
Some kind of detriment to starting engaged with this, because hey, I just shot a fucking bird at you. It's raking at your eyes.
I do like the first game I played this crew was the best game for birds and bear traps because they were constantly hitting my opponent's woe crew. Like they wouldn't fail, and for some reason they were also pretty defensive somehow. That was the best effort I got out of them. Okay, that's the whole keyword, and then we can go into our overall stuff. It's a small keyword. It's a very
it's not huge.
Small keyword. You can bring everything in the keyword, at least one per, and have a full 45 stone crew because you're not hiring birds. You're not. They're summons
or traps.
Good God! Like I could maybe see once, like 1 in a million times, someone might hire a peon, but those peons can move. Mine can't. It is literally impossible to get use out of hiring a trap.
Oof. Yeah.
But yeah, even then, you would have no stones, but you could do one of each.
Yeah, it's weird that they even have a cost. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like they should just have a dash cost. Yep. Don't hire these, please.
Yeah, it's very obvious that he lost a lot of 3 models in the keyword, and he hasn't gotten anything back, and it shows. So I'm assuming he'll be maybe one of the first people to get some new stuff come this edition. Really wish we still had the Rough Riders because that mobility would be quite useful. Since you lost most of your mobility. Let's see. Overall,
and this crew should just have horses.
Should just you would think. Feast or famine, just a general concept of like either everything's firing off on all cylinders and your stuff's really defensive and you're healing a bunch, or none of it's happening, you're missing all your stuff, you're out of a hand, and your opponent's just chewing you to pieces. Yeah, our game was quite close. It was a great game, and not a lot of these games were like that. Next up, I didn't notice this when I first started, but it became very apparent. Your stats are garbage.
Yep.
you have technically four separate models in your keyword with willpower 4, and one with 0. Oof. But I mean, one of them is the bird, but still, Bernadette and the worm. And wait, no, it is 4 because the Clipper also has willpower 4.
Yep.
But I mean, like even you don't trade off by having great defense. Your defenses are also pretty mid. And so one of the many, many ways to take apart this crew is just debilitate them.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy for them to fail those target numbers or fail those attacks where you put like stunned on them or slow or all that other stuff because you don't have the cards to save yourself. And I realize like the shitty stats really goes in with the idea of like they're going to hopefully heal a bunch of that back. It just doesn't pan out like that.
Yeah, I think it feels like the idea is you're supposed to have all these layered defenses of like badges and hidden and this, that, and the other, and then it all just kind of, if you don't get that set up, you are just gonna fold.
Yep.
Yeah. I kind of wonder, and I did not pay attention to this crew during the beta or anything, but I'm kind of wondering, I'm assuming they tested, what if we made the cost of the badge the act of getting the badge out? And you just toss the badge and heal too. I'm imagining they tried that and somebody found it too much, but the discard on top of needing to get it out seems like it went too far the other way based on your games. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
And maybe I probably spend my cards a bit too much because I'm used to Tony where you have so much card efficiency with your attacks, but I mean, nothing is getting super reliable, which makes me again realize that I probably should try and figure out how to get Vogel in there. Because I feel like that adversary would be so much relief. Let's see. This crew is utterly fucked by God, why can't I remember the name of the damn ability? Ruthless. Ruthless, because every single one of your defensive abilities outside of the Clipper's armor and Reichert's hard to kill is an exclamation point thing. Also, just bring the Hooded Rider and completely fuck over this entire crew.
Woof.
Yeah, that hurt quite a bit. But I mean, like, I eventually killed the Hooded Rider, and I think that game ended up being close because my opponent was not entirely keen on just using him to kill my crew. But yeah, so too much reliance on the special defensive tech, I feel like. And yeah, those are like my whinging. It's still fun. It's still relatively straightforward if you want to play it straightforward. If you want to try and do all of the tech they have available to them, as powerful or mediocre it is, it's going to burn up a lot of your brain power. So if you just want to go straightforward, punch things a whole bunch and heal, it's a decent crew to do it with. You're going to be on like the lower end of power scale, but you could definitely play them that way. This is definitely going to be my teach people how to play the game crew.
Yeah, it feels like a crew that plays well into the fundamentals of the game, which is probably good for teaching people.
Yep. Yeah, that was just my like general thing, and again, I'm just kind of waiting for. I think Weird's going to eventually change them, and a lot of this might not matter in the future. Well, we'll see. Yeah, what's up?
Were there any models out of keyword that you found that you enjoyed bringing?
I have a list. I was just gonna make sure we got the general view of the keyword first, because I mean, I initially limited myself to the first 5 games being only in keyword, but it quickly became apparent there's very little hiring variety in doing it that way, and so I allowed myself versatiles a bit sooner. And then I was having some fun with out of keyword stuff. But stuff out of keyword stuff. One, the emissary. He's great into Badland Sheriff because people can just bounce those 3 signature actions off of him for a positive flip, which suddenly makes them a lot more reliable. Until he dies, because every game I play where I bring the emissary, he's target number 1 for my opponent, which is a valid response.
Yeah, he's a scurry bull.
If you need a babysitter for your back marker on informants, just hire a gearling.
Valid.
Yeah.
Same cost, and he can possibly do a little bit of support from back there, and take 3 damage and not die, which is the best part.
True. Well, I mean, if he sits there and just prepares for a shielded, he can take a good amount of damage, honestly, for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Envy's. I brought Envy a couple times when it didn't work because Roman just wrecked me again, as we mentioned before, with Sanddeep, which is not Roman's intent. But we just, as I mentioned before, he threw a bunch of TNs at me and against a crew with bad stats. It just weird me down real quick. But Envy's just a good pick because you can actually use the exposed tokens, or at least the like Envy's thing is they get positive flips if the opponent doesn't have cover, and so your opponent is a little bit more aware of cover when Envy comes out, and now you could put exposed on them and guarantee that positive flip at all times. And it's a positive flip, so it's more likely that you're not going to have to cheat to hit something, which is beautiful. He's never lived throughout the entire game, though. And really, that was just 2 games. I ended up not taking him that one time. But yeah, decent on paper. I got him to work against Nate. So
yeah, he got through most of that game, too.
Yep. And I guess the last one that's the Ice Skull.
That one was cute.
Yeah. And specifically the point of the Ice Golem coming in is because his melee attacks is strip of a token off the opponent to add an extra point of damage, and you're putting out a ton of tokens on those opposing models. And then also you are also putting out a good chunk of staggered in this crew, and the Ice Golem's tactical action that pulses out a TN that gives out slow if they fail it is against speed.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And since he can respawn off of ski markers, it's not that hard to keep him around, even though he can't benefit from a lot of your defensive tech. But you can put badges on him. Thank you, Bernadette. Which good. You can't use any of the front of crew card abilities for the badges, but an extra hard to kill on a model with device is always really frustrating for your opponent, assuming you have cards. Yeah, those are the ones I ended up experimenting with. As we mentioned, Vogel's probably a good take in as well. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. You got a decent amount of marker removal, so you don't necessarily need Irina. Altus, literally only if your opponent is bringing a ton of tokens against you. Because you're not even going to use this healing half the time because you have more reliable or cheaper healing in your crew. I'm trying to think of what else I would want to bring. There's like the default of... oh god, what's her name? From Witness.
Bella.
that was always just like something to have in your back pocket if you notice your opponent's got a lot of willpower 6, because stunned is still just so debilitating in this game.
I forgot she does that.
Yep. Stun gun.
Stun gun. Yeah, I think those were my thoughts. So I came into it a lot more optimistic and came out of it a bit too pessimistic, but I think most people would agree they're just a little underbaked.
Yeah, I think it plays the game well enough, but it's missing some tools.
Yeah. Well, and I think my takeaway that I'm coming at this from is the idea thematically seems like it's pretty well there, other than they don't have horses, which I agree is really strange. I'm going to chalk that up to a packaging issue.
Yeah.
But I feel like the theme's there, but I think you hit the nail on the head, Doug. They just needed a little more time to finish baking the mechanics to match up the theme so that, again, we didn't have this weird... I'm going to keep up the baking idea here so we didn't have this weird gingerbread, like, clock gears that don't quite fit.
Yeah. And I think my suggestions would just be integrate the stuff that is already there more into the crew. Because, like, there's a good chunk of staggered, but not everything has... Not enough of it quite has ways to make use of that staggered outside of the healing off for healing or whatever. You want to summon a bunch of small shit because your expensive minion's gonna summon them, and some of you is going to be putting up bear traps. But literally, no one has any interactivity with bear traps.
Yeah.
There's no like, I target a bear trap and make it blow up, or I target a bear trap and it puts down a scheme marker, or I do something with a bear trap. Outside of like, I guess you could hand signal a bear trap if you wanted to, but... And, like, again, only the Ostringers have anything to do specifically with birds either. Just to have a little bit more of that interactivity, I think, would be better than just, like, straight up giving them stat boosts.
Yeah, it's a lot of micro synergies.
Yeah, and also keeping in mind that the crew has to play the game as well, so having the 3 wound stat for defenses minion that you're launching out of a sniper t-shirt cannon straight into melee, I don't know, not be that easy to give up. Essentially, that right there says to me this crew really can't play any kind of kill strat, which isn't a great feeling for the crew with the guns hunting down bounties. Like, that just feels like a miss to me. And like you mentioned earlier, the traps shouldn't be targetable or workable for any kind of on-kill situation
that's
for the same reason.
Peon issue.
Yeah. But
that applies across the
those
board.
Two, I agree, but I think it's more highlighted in this crew between the small hiring flavor size and the fact that the birds are right next to them going, yes, between the two of us, we are 6, 7 of the models in keyword. Aha.
So I brought them in every game, including informants, because I felt like the long-ranged gun was still worth it. But now thinking on it, especially after doing this, I feel like this is one of the ones where I would definitely swap them for Vogel. 7 for 7. Vogel would have more utility into, especially gather evidence. That one.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I just need to find mine and paint it. It's somewhere. Maybe Wednesday knocked it off of the shelf. Who knows? But I think that's everything I have to say about Frontier. Again, since it was a relatively small keyword, it didn't take a whole ton of time, and I do kind of feel bad to seem like I was whinging a whole lot. I did have a good amount of fun with this crew, but I want to do everything I possibly can to be clever in this game, and to be clever with Frontier, you need a lot of brain power going into all these little small mechanics that are kind of standalone or partially there. So, yeah, if you want to play them straightforward beaters, I think that's going to be the easiest way to save yourself some brain space. And they're fun. They're fun. They're definitely not negative play experience. I don't think you could generate negative play experience out of them unless your deck really wants to keep your traps and birds alive. Then it can be kind of annoying.
Yeah, I think the best you can do is like make a really difficult to kill crew, kind of like what you did against me, where it's like, oh, there's the sandworm and the ice golem and bass, and it's like I can't kill any of these motherfuckers. I have to like hunt down the models I can, because this front line is just none of these are dying.
Yeah, in that crew, I would have not gone double Austrian and probably also brought Jonathan and then maybe like a Frontiersman, which would cost 1 more stone, but that would have been fine. I think that would have been a lot better choice. And then Riker plus an Ice Golem sounds like a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's everything I'm able to talk about. Any other thoughts about our games? Nate's game was no offense from Nate's game was probably the most fun game I had because it was really, really close and both of us made kind of dumb mistakes.
Yeah.
At some point.
I think we were both a bit burned at that point. So like
yeah.
We were just goofing.
And none offense taken. Like I edited the episode for Sandeep today, so I literally just re-listened all of it and putting those back to back. I'm 2 points here. I don't feel like you're whinging so much at the crew as doing a good job of calling out like, hey, these are fun, they're flavorful. But again, they're not all the way baked. You pulled them out of the oven, the toothpick has stuff stuck to it. We're waiting for Weird to put it back in the oven for a minute.
There's no
and
horses.
Now I want to go make banana bread.
I would like horses, please. Can I have horses?
Robot horses. Or, I don't know, undead ghost horses. That would be cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
But also just like thinking about the 2 keywords, just in comparison, I feel like it's weird to me that academic, of all things, at least the version that I played to you, is they have a lot of tools in the toolbox, but what they want to do is dead straightforward. Whereas your gunman sheriff here looks like what they want to do is dead straightforward, but the process of getting them there is so convoluted. Like, on the one hand, welcome to the Arcanist. Hello, we have all the hoops. On the other hand, you have a t-shirt cannon of birds. You should be able to shoot them straight through all the hoops and make it work. Also, I really just want, I might actually do these with my birds, of like green stuff them wearing a t-shirt, like while they got their things spread out, now that I have this stuck in my head. Side point, welcome back to the faction, birds. We will get you retrained after your hard time working for the guild. It'll be okay.
Marcus is just not allowed to have birds.
Clearly.
Well, he turned into a cat. All the birds ran away.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
Now I just want to get a 3D print or something of Charlie Sheen in Hot Shots Part 2 where he's got the bow and arrow with the chicken and use that as an off-stringer.
Yes.
Oh, that would be such a good miss model.
If I could find that, I would absolutely use that for an off-stringer because that'd be hilarious.
Amazing.
Yeah. The other thing that might Ostringer is that I ripped off the bird and put an actual Malifaux raptor on his arm, which is comically large.
Excellent. I mean, at that point, it's got to look like it's about trying to like lift him away to its nest to feed its kids, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Excellent. Perfect. No notes.
Yeah, it turns out the birds that are on their arms are downscaled so they don't look utterly silly, and the birds that go on the 40mm base are supposed to take up a 40mm base.
Yeah. That's their little baby birds that they like to hang out with, and then they tell them to go tell their parents to go fight people.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's good here. Got a first and 10. And I think next one for me will probably be experimental, which I've already got one in and I'm enjoying it. It's also kind of a little on the small side and a little bit on the straightforward side, but I think it's slightly better baked than Frontier. So
yeah, there's definitely some fun plays you can do with that keyword too. Like enjoy. Yeah. That one's fun. Play around, experiment, if you will.
Fart balloons are just great.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for recording this one. Thank you, Nate.
Yeah.
And thank you, Roman.
You're welcome. Also, everyone should come to Good Things Happen. There will be notes in the show notes.
Come to Good Things Happen. Donate to fight cancer charity. Yeah, fight cancer. Donate to charities, not fight cancer charities. Also, a happy 10th anniversary for us. It happened a couple days ago. I can't believe we're that fucking old. Jesus.
Yay.
10 years.
10 more years. Steam-powered Scoundrels.
Yeah. We can quit when Steam-powered Scoundrels is allowed to legally drink. Okay. Thank you for listening. And as I always say, fun as always king. Enjoy your games against or with Frontier. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
songs used in this production are Villainous Treachery and 5-Card Shuffle. All music is created by Kevin MacLeod and is licensed under Creative Commons.